Hey guys, this is Ken. Welcome to our As the Leader Grows podcast. Again, I am your host. I have got my good friend Ira Davis, the chief dream diver. This cat takes people like, I don't even know how many thousands of feet high and then jumps out of perfectly good airplanes to stir the vision and purpose inside of people. What's up, homie?
What's going on, Ken?
You, man. Hey, take a minute and tell our audience real quick, Ira, about where you're at, what you've got going on, and kind of a little bit of your story and your background, man.
Yeah, man. First of all, I appreciate you for having me. All you GSDers out there, let me tell you something. You have one of the greatest leaders on the planet. He's a general. He's a pioneer in what he does. And if you're not following this guy on every platform, on everything smoking, you're wrong, because he has a voice and something in him that will lead you to levels that you can't even imagine. So, Ken, bro, I appreciate you having me. A little bit about me. Ken told you I'm Ira Davis, the chief dream diver. I am a skydiver, a dream development coach, and the founder of a transformational coaching company called the Dream Diver Company. And it's simple. We really help aspiring world changers, people who know in their hearts that they were born to do something bigger, more purposeful and legendary with their lives, to discover their purpose, to unlock and dive for their God-sized dreams. And then we take them up to 13,000 feet, Ken, for a rite of passage ceremony. And we certify them as a dream diver, and we help them destroy every limiting belief and their deepest fears, so that when they get back down to the ground, my team and I, we can help them create a purpose-driven enterprise that will shift culture, shape humanity, and serve miracles, man. So that's what we do here through live events, coaching, speaking, etc.
I love that, dude. You've got Ephesians 4:1. We talked about that just a minute ago. It's in your bio.
Yeah.
I love your some of the taglines, but I love this one tagline you've got on here on your Instagram profile. It says "Made for something greater." Talk about Ephesians 4:1. Let everybody know what that says, and then what that means to you is kind of the thing that helps propel who you are.
And I tell you, man, Ephesians 4:1 is a scripture I live by. I was in the Marine Corps for about 10 years. I was a Marine Corps drill instructor. So not only was I a Marine, I made Marines. I was great, phenomenal at it. But I got into some trouble. I was a wild man. You can't tell now because I'm so nice and calm, but I was a maniac. And so I ended up getting kicked off that duty, man, for being crazier than crazy. And it really destroyed my career. And living my whole life, Ken, not knowing what I was born to do, hiding behind the mask of a paycheck, benefits, and a prestigious job. I spent all these years, man, just running. I'll take your paycheck. I'll take your benefits. You know what I mean? But when my career came collapsing around me, man, depression set in because I knew that I had 3 months. When I found out I was not getting promoted and I had to leave the Marine Corps, I had 3 months to pack up my wife and my 2 small boys at the time. Had no money, no savings, nothing to fall back on, nothing to lean forward into. And man, God was pulling my camouflage at that moment. He was like, you've been running, but I got you. And so, man, through a series of therapy, I went to therapy. Like, first of all, that's taboo as a Marine to go see a therapist. Number 2 is taboo as an African-American. Number 3 is taboo as an African-American man to go see a therapist. But I knew that there was more in me, but I didn't know how to get to it. I didn't know how to access it. And so for the first time in my adult life, I was faced with the realities of there's nothing for you to hide behind. God is coming. He's coming to your address and he's exposing you. You better go figure out what's going on. So I went into that therapist's office, Ken, man, and I sat there and I cried my eyes out. I said, Doc, I need you to help me. I'm a grown man with a wife and 2 kids. Don't know what I was born to do, but I got to get out of the Marine Corps in 3 months, take care of my family. But I said, Doc, at the core of me, I know I was born for something greater. I just don't know how to get to it. And I've been running and hiding, and comparing myself to everybody. But now, it really has hit the fan, right? And I gotta figure this out. So we talked, man, for a few days, and the doc came back to me and he said, listen, Sergeant Davis, I believe in my personal opinion, professional opinion, that you were born to inspire people down to their bones to go after their dreams. I've listened to you talk, and there's certain things when you talk about, you just light up. And other things, you just turn into this hermit crab. So, man, I left his office that day, Ken. I went out in my car, hot day, and I remember crying. Grown man sitting in the car crying and praying and saying, Lord, the epiphany light bulbs just went off in this session that I just came out of. Can you help me, Lord? I need to figure this out. And God just began to reveal to me in that moment who I was. He's like, bro, you've been looking for a tangible expression of your greatness your whole life, but it's been in you. It's the intangibles that nobody ever told you could build a life on. But I'm telling you today, I'm about to send you on a crusade to go save people who were stuck just like you, to show them that everything and anything is possible. And I want you to go raise up a generation of pioneers who will build, create, and do things that most humans wouldn't even fathom doing. And so, man, I started off as a director, filmmaker, which I still have my production company. And we're, raising a couple of $1 million to go out and make films to inspire big dreamers. But I started out with this production company, making films. And I remember being in church, and I just heard, from the Lord saying, "Hey, I want you to create this documentary production company." And I was trying to come up with all these names, Ken, and I had all kind of crazy stuff. But my pastor was preaching on Ephesians 4. He was going through the whole book, and it was up on the screen. You know how you in church and they got the screen, and I saw Ephesians 4:1-2 pop up on the screen, and I began to read it, and literally I saw the definition of the crusade the guy was sending me on. Live a life worthy of the calling for which you have been called, is what the verse says. And so I named my studio 412 Studios, and that's the mantra that I live by and that I coach by whenever I coach people who like, hey, I've achieved all the achievables. I have all the things, but I miss the main thing. And so I take them back to that verse, and then we go from there.
I love that. Talk to me real quick, because dude, you're a badass. I mean, dude, I was in the Air Force.
Tell my wife.
You're a badass. You just tell her to shoot me a text or shoot me a DM, and I'll let her know. I just remember when I went to basic training, and I was in the Air Force, right? Because people go, Army? I said, no, man, I'm intelligent. I was in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
And so
I was getting ready to ask, when did we get that branch?
Yeah, exactly right. My Army buddies and Marine buddies call it the chair force, the holiday force, all those things.
College.
But I just remember going into boot camp. Sergeant Suelo was about a 5-foot Filipino DI. And then Sergeant Hinkins was this black dude who, I swear, he was 8 feet tall and his shoulders were 6 feet wide. Bro, I was scared. I was 17 years old. I just turned 18 years old. Scared to death, man. Tell me, what's that like being a Marine drill instructor? And I love what you said just a minute ago. I got goosebumps, bro. I wasn't just a Marine. I made Marines. Yeah. Talk to me about the prestige in that, and the, bro, because I can see where you thought you were bulletproof.
Yeah. I mean, the truth, I was just having this conversation with my 2 boys last night, 10 years old and 13. And when I was a drill instructor, they were little. My 10-year-old was a baby and my 13-year-old was 3. So they don't remember daddy running around screaming 3 months at a time, from 4 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, Monday through Monday for 3 months straight to turn an 18-year-old boy into a basically trained war fighter. They don't remember that time period. But man, it was the highlight of my life. I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to be a drill instructor, right? But it took me 8 years to qualify for that duty. Like, you have to be a certain rank, and so it took me 8 years to get there. Man, by the time I got there, Ken, it was like I could see it from a more experienced drill instructor, and I could turn around and do it. It was like osmosis. Oh, Ken just did. Okay, now I'm gonna look at my recruits and I'm gonna repeat the same thing and do it maybe even better. And so all of my peers were like, bro, what planet are you from? You just got here. How do you know? And so I excelled at a very rapid pace. But what happened is there was a disconnect between my actual character and the job description, right? So I do. Some people would say I'm still a drill instructor in what I do now, but I get to do it in a love language that resonates with my character. As a drill instructor, I had to put on a facade of being this, maniac, or, I'm saying, a pain in the butt. But I still carried the same heart into my work, because those recruits came down there because they had a dream of being what most people could never be. And so my goal is to make sure, you say you have a dream, I want to make sure that you accomplish what you came here to do. And I'm not going to graduate you until you're ready to step into the fullness of what you had in your mind when you dreamt this dream. Right. And so it was a mismatch in how I had to carry out the duty. Right. And so now I get to bring that same prestige and that same integrity over to what I do now, but give it to people in a way that's, fluid with my values and how I operate as an individual.
I love what you said just a while ago. You're sharing your story. Like, you dreamed of, you didn't go in the Marines just to be a Marine. You went in the Marines to be a drill instructor. You went in the Marines to be a drill instructor and to make Marines. And then here you are, you're rising through the ranks very rapidly. And the next thing you know, they go, hey, we're not going to re-up you. You're not getting advanced. It's time for you to get out. Talk about that, having that dream stripped away from you. What was that? Tell me what that moment was like.
It was probably one of the most difficult things I ever went through, because I was a man of very few talents. I'm not super talented in a lot, even still to this day. And so the one thing that I finally could grab a hold of that I was great at, when it came crumbling down around me, I felt like, like what else do I have to offer? This was the one, some kids can say, well, my dad can sing or my dad can play basketball. Like I used to hoop, but I wasn't like super sweet. My dad is fast. My dad is fast, and like I didn't have a lot of those things for people to brag about. And so, but as a drill instructor, it was like, let's go, right? Yeah. Lights come on at 4:00 in the morning. I'm there at 2:45. Like I'm fitting to wear some recruits out today and make a great product, right? And so when that came crashing down, so it was a double crash. So as a Marine, they stripped me of that duty 2 years in. So that was a great crash. And then I went back to the Fleet Marine Corps for 3 years to try to rebound my career because I knew promotion was coming, right? Then it crashed again for the final time when they said, I don't care what you did in the last 3 years. We know you won, 15 medals and 15 awards. It doesn't matter. The war is over. We have a mandate from Congress to reduce the size of the Marine Corps. And anybody with any negative paperwork, it doesn't matter if it happened yesterday or 20 years ago, when it's time for you to get promoted, we got to cut the fat. And so I got caught in that drawdown. And so it collapsed on me twice. I lost my first dream. And then what was keeping me complacent, my job as a Marine, I lost that as well. But what happened is I thought that God was literally trying to kill me spiritually and mentally. And what God revealed to me was over time was that I wasn't breaking you down to destroy you. I was breaking you down to rebuild you, right? You had a version of you that you wanted. I had a version of you that I created you to be. And so all of this was training to get you to an expected end so I can use you in the world in a way that you haven't even imagined. Like taking
what you're saying. So what you're saying is God's the best drill instructor you've been around.
Man, that been around, like he has a way of getting the best out of you because he knows what he put in you. And he knows what you're capable of. Same thing I did as a Jones. I could look at a recruit and tell whether you were giving me 120 or whether you playing games. And when I know you're playing games, then I got to turn the heat up because I need to get what's in you out of you because it's going to be beneficial to the people who serve with you and who you're around. And so, man, Ken, you just said something that blew my mind just now. I like that.
Well, you just described what he took you through is exactly what you took recruits through. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Talk about, so you walked through that, you went into therapy. And let me say this real quick too, because I think this is super important for those of you guys listening to our podcast today with Ira, is I when I talk about therapy or counseling, obviously on the Christian side, we call counseling, or, it's like a secular thing, it'd be therapy. It's all the same. It really is. I call it preventive maintenance. It's like, you don't get the oil changed in your car when the engine locks up or the oil drains out. You get your oil changed every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, because that's the thing that's going to keep your car running the most efficient and the most effectively. And in therapy, counseling, it's the same thing. It's having someone that has a 10,000 foot view of what's going on in your life. That I've been to counseling the last 2 weeks with my guy, and I walk out of it's Christian counseling. I walk out of Kent's office, and before I do every week, I look at him and go, "Am I crazy?" He just looks at me, he just laughs. He goes, "No, you ain't crazy, man." I'm like, "Okay, good." Sometimes you just need someone to be able to listen and process things through in your life. So that stigma, you said it just a minute ago, man, like being a Marine, being a black guy, being a black man, like there's so many different stigmas as far as therapy goes. And so, man, I just want to encourage you, and I know Ira will as well. If you're listening to today, man, listen, therapy counseling is fantastic. Again, if you look at it from the perspective of that is preventive maintenance, just like in the oil change in your car. You do not wait until your car locks up. You get the oil change on a consistent basis, and it helps keep your car healthy. Go ahead, Ira.
Yeah, I'll explain it this way, man, Ken. And that's a beautiful analogy. Is I don't know how, I know you have listeners of all ages, from all backgrounds. I want you to imagine your house with your trash can getting full. Um, but over the years, instead of taking out the trash, you just keep piling more bags of trash in your house.
Mm.
Um, Therapy, counseling is you cleaning out the trash in your life so that your brain and your heart and your spirit and your emotions don't start to stink and
Mm.
decay and attract all these other things that they don't need, right? One trash bag is a little stinky, but imagine 40 years, 50 years worth of trash piled into your mind and trauma and all these other things that you've never dealt with. No wonder why you can't love your spouse. No
Mm.
wonder why you can't love your children. No wonder why you always in arguments at work. It's not everybody else, it's you,
Mm.
right? Same thing on your computer. Some of us have way too many tabs open, right? We got way too much in
Mm.
our trash, and you need to empty out the trash and watch your life open up to you, man. And so, Ken, I just wanted to throw that in there, man, for people to chew on.
I love that. So you took the step. You're walking through obviously not being a DI, then separation from being in the Marine Corps to your dreams. You're walking through therapy, and then next thing we know, we turn into the chief dream diver. Talk about like number one. I've got a good pastor buddy of mine in Ohio, Jeremy. He's like he's a big skydiver. He actually teaches. He's like, dude, you gotta come skydiving. I'm like, bro, there ain't no way, bro. I'm not. There ain't but a few things I'm afraid of, and one of those, if I'm on a 12-foot ladder, that's about as high as I want to get. Right.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the process of taking business leaders through the dream diver, and then and you said, man, we take them up to 13,000 feet, and then when we're done, it's like, okay, now let's go make some stuff happen. Talk to us about that process,
man. So very, very, I'm gonna speed us up through a couple of years on how I got to this point. Got out of the Marine Corps. I'm like, okay, what do I do now, man? So I had this natural love for filmmaking, like self-taught, and ended up taking that, doing some videography stuff, and then that's when God kind of stepped in and said, nope, not videography, documentary filmmaking. Started my studio, which we are in the process of rolling out in a major way to make films to inspire people like you and I to go into the lives of the most inspiring world changers on the planet. People like the Oprahs and the Grant Cardones and the people that we know who say, okay, I read your book, I heard your podcast. No, but I want to come into your life. Take me through the mud and show me that anything is really possible by bringing me. That's what my studio is designed to do. So I started there, and then about 3 years ago, God stepped in and said, no, stop identifying yourself as a filmmaker. You're a dream development coach. Your films are just a fruit of the tree, of the seed of who you are. I want you to put your voice out front, and I want you to teach people how to dive for dreams that are bigger than themselves. I'm like, okay, here we go, right? So let me take you back to where this all started, man. And I want to be very clear here. What I'm doing now came to me at 2:00 in the morning in my office, pitch black, everybody sleep in my house. It was literally within the 3-month time period when I was getting, walking out of the Marine Corps. I was put in charge of a corporal's course, which is the first level of leader in the Marine Corps, corporal. I was put in charge of a corporal's course to train and to equip the Marines of the next generation to keep going, to be great. And I'm up, Ken, I'm 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm on YouTube looking up some videos to put into this PowerPoint to inspire these young Marines. And I come across some of the greats on YouTube. I come across Eric Thomas. I'm like, what is this? I come across Les Brown. What in the world is this? I come across John Maxwell. I'm like, okay, this is like, I didn't know what this stuff was. And it changed my life. But the very next video that came on was this skydiving video, Ken. 2 a.m. in the morning. I go from Eric, Les, John to a skydiving video. I'm like, okay, YouTube, what is going on with your algorithm? I said, but you know what? I'll play your game. I'll watch. Okay. So I'm sitting there watching this video, 2 a.m. in the morning, pitch black. And I start having an out-of-body experience and start getting anxiety sitting in this chair watching this video like I'm in the air with these guys. And so I pull back from my desk, Ken, and I say, okay, Lord, I feel like I'm having a divine encounter. What are you saying? And he says, Ira, you see skydiving, but I want you to call it dream diving. I'm like, what are you talking about, Lord? He said, listen, most people will never hit the target for their life because A, you can't hit a target you don't have and a target you can't see. We got too many people climbing the mountain of success. And the problem with that analogy is you can't see the vision that's on top. And when you get tired, you could sit down or go back down. He said, man, I'm looking for some people who are willing to get their feet off the ground, go to 13,000 feet, dive headfirst into the dream that I've shown them, who are willing to burn the boats, who are willing to believe that with me and in me, all things are possible. He said, I'm looking for the crazy, audacious ones who want to build what has not been built and go where most people won't go. And I want you to lead this crusade. I want you to call it dream diving. And Ken, I'm like, okay, God, okay. I go from not knowing what I was born to do to, okay, God, and then he says, but you have to become a skydiver. And I'm like, time out, bro. God, we were cool till you went there, right? Because I'm terrified of heights, even to this day. I would not dive off of my desk, Ken, if you paid me, right? So I said, why do I have to do this, God? He says, listen, I have too many people teaching analogies that they don't live. You won't be one of them. I'm going to establish you and your voice and your influence at 13,000 feet. That will be your pulpit. I'm like, bro, can we do anything else but this? But fast forward, man, 5 years later, I have a client of mine who's like, hey, man, it's time to get up in the air. And together we go tandem skydiving together. And from there, man, I'm in the process of getting my Class A certification license. And so here's the thing. I don't take my clients, these aspiring world changers, to 13,000 feet to go skydiving because we want a thrill, right? It's not Disneyland. This is a rite of passage to show you that in God, anything and everything is possible. And you are a pioneer being sent into the world to do what most people won't do. So when we come back down to the ground and we begin to develop this enterprise and we begin to go out and do crazy things and things that don't make linear sense per business industry and business metrics, I need you to understand, you remember who you were when that door opened at 13,000 feet. Remember, you were the same one who dove headfirst into the abyss, trusting and believing that what you say you're about to do is possible. And so we use that same mantra to teach, train, and to equip world changers to go out, man, and live a life of purpose and do the thing that they were created to do, man. And so hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me some stories. Tell me some testimonies of people that you've walked through this process and where they were before and where they're at now.
Crazy, man. One of my clients, Jeremy Jones, man, phenomenal guy. He was a serial entrepreneur. He owns multiple businesses, gyms, supplements, etc. Heard me on another podcast from another one of my clients who was also, top 10 in his industry. Trained Drew Brees, Darren Sproles, a couple of NFL greats, MLB greats. So this particular client heard me on another one of my clients' podcasts. And he reached out to me and said, listen, bro, I got all these businesses. I got all this money, but ain't none of it the thing that I was born to do. And so I asked him one simple question. I said, Jeremy, if you died today and went back to heaven and God was like, hey, Jeremy, welcome home. You had your salvation. I'm so glad you're in heaven. But Jeremy, did you do the one thing that I called you to do while you were on earth? What would your answer be? Yes or no? There's no like, kind of, maybe, Is it yes or no? He said, no. I said, Jeremy, that's what I do for people. I send you back to heaven being able to say yes to that question, period. And so, man, we began to work together. He's a part of my Dream Diver apprenticeship program, which is a 6-month deep intensive where I bring people under my wing, where it's not general, it's very specific. Ken, you know what I'm talking about, where we give them kneecap to kneecap. And so we realized in a matter of 2 months, his purpose was simple. He grew up as a fatherless man, having glass ceilings all around him. And so he realized that he was born to help professional fatherless men overcome the pain of the neglect of the father who was never there, so that they can break through the glass ceilings that have kept them from their greatest levels of greatness, right? And so together we discovered his purpose. We unlocked his dream, which is to create a transformational coaching business where he can run amazing live events and experiences to be able to pour into professional men who are at the top of everything, but there's still a level that they can't get through because they still have this crap on top of them. So we developed a business around that for him. We're outlining a book for him. It's going to be called Letter to My Father, which for him at 22 years old, he sent an email to his father to forgive him for not being there. And the philosophy behind that was, he said, as soon as I let the email go, the weight lifted off of me. It wasn't about the response. It wasn't about any of that. The weight left me. And so we outlined in a book called Letter to My Father, letting go of the pain of the father who's never there. And then I took him to 13,000 feet with me, man. And because I never take anybody to 13,000 feet who don't know what their purpose and what their dream is. Because at that point, if you go before that, you're just going for a thrill. When we go after that, you're going to be certified in what you now know you're supposed to be chasing after, right? And so he comes back down from 13,000 feet, and he does this Cam Newton Superman move, right? He does this like he's opening up his chest to show the S, right? And what he was saying in that moment, he was like, I've just been baptized in my purpose and in my dreams. I've just been baptized in bold faith. I've just been baptized in understanding that in God, everything is possible. And I no longer have to settle for what used to make me comfortable or complacent, right? And so, man, we just been taking steps. His podcast is about to come out, the Lead to Greatness podcast. We outline a method for him to teach men on how to let this crap go, man. So Jeremy is my guy, man. So yeah, that's one of the guys, man, who I've just seen an incredible transformation in his life.
I love that. What's the best way for people to connect with you, Ira?
Yeah, man. So I'm on all social medias at dreamdiver.co or at the Chief Dream Diver on all platforms, Instagram, Clubhouse, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those different places, man.
Where are you located at?
I am in Southern California.
Where at? San Diego?
I'm in Temecula, man. So
okay, that's right. My buddy lives in Menifee.
Oh man, you're right down the street.
He's right around the corner from you. I'm gonna be there in September for Secret Knock with Greg Reed.
Oh man, I heard all about that, man. I got to figure out the Secret Knock, man.
Yep. Yeah, Anthony was supposed to be there, and he's going to be in Hawaii, I think, with some family. He's got some kind of reunion or something, so he's not going to be there. But yeah, I'll be there in a few weeks. So the Chief Dream Diver on Instagram, best way to get in contact with my guy. Guys, listen, y'all need to go check out my guy Ira Davis. Unbelievable story from Marine Corps drill instructor to the Chief Dream Diver. I just assumed the whole skydiving thing was something you did in the Marine Corps. Until today, I didn't know that. You're like, bro, I didn't even like heights.
You crazy. Man, listen, for those of you who don't know, man, I broke my ankle about 3 or 4 months ago. And I have another apprenticeship client who I'm taking up in the air at the end of September. So this will be my first time back in the air since breaking my ankle on a solo skydive. And my heart is already pounding, right?
Yeah.
And, but listen, I don't do it because it's fun. I do it because I got to remain immersed in the process of bigger, better, bolder, because the dreams that I have beyond this coaching business, man, could cripple me if I don't stay in bold faith, man. So Ken, can I real quick, I just want to give away a freebie if that's all right.
Go, dude, folks. Knock it out, baby. Yes, sir.
Listen, guys, Ken talked about it before. It's called Made for Something Greater. It's a free 3-part video series where I'm asking you the questions to make your butt squirm in your seat, to keep you up at night. That's my prayer, that once you listen to the series that you can't sleep until you get on purpose. Listen, it's called Made for Something Greater, where I'm going to help you see and seize the audacious possibilities for your life. I'm going to ask you 3 questions over this 3-part series, questions that will make you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, God dang, did he just really make me ask myself these things? Guys, go get it. Super simple. dreamdiver.co/something greater. Super simple. dreamdiver.co/something greater, man. And I pray it blesses your life.
I love it, man. www.dreamdiver.co. The Chief Dream Diver on Instagram. Ira, dude, I appreciate it, homie. Thank you so much. What an amazing, amazing story. I love every time I get on here on our podcast, when we on our As the Leader Grows show, every time we get on here, we talk to people. There's always that moment in their life where a dream or something that they think is what they're supposed to be doing is almost ripped away, in order for them to really discover that purpose that's on the inside, that why, and then watching them to grow from there, and the impact that they have from there is unbelievable. And bro, you fall right in line, my friend.
You the man. Ken, thanks so much for having me, bro. And listen, guys, Ken is a mentor. He is a friend. He is a phenomenal leader. Wherever he goes, put your eyes and ears on him. Whatever he puts out, you better buy it, because there's some gold in there for you. Don't miss out, Kim, and I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate it, my friend. Guys, thanks for joining our As the Leader Grows podcast. And again, I am your host, Ken Joslin, my good friend Ira Davis on today. Guys, again, go to our YouTube channel. You can download all of those podcasts. Be looking for my new book, As the Leader Grows. It's going to be dropping in about 3 weeks. And then our Vegas boot camp is coming up September 30th through October the 2nd in Las Vegas, Nevada, at my good friend Brad Lee's Lightspeed VT headquarters. You can go to growstackdrive.com/Vegas for information or for tickets. Ira, I love you, my friend.
Man, love